How does know I can make myself godly apart from an internal transformation? But when He gives spiritual birth, we then cooperate with Him and develop spiritual life. We spent weeks 2 and 3 talking about just absorbing the Scriptures, taking in the Bible. The informational process of, oh, this verse speaks to this problem, this verse speaks to this problem, this passage, this book speaks to my attitude, and on and on and on. It's like the farmers in the old days. I can remember down south, not many people have access or income to go see a doctor. So you go to the pharmacist, you describe your condition and your symptoms, and they mix you up something. And you have some home remedies that somebody's grandmother's grandmother told them, and they would mix up some kind of elixir, and you'd drink it or pour it on something, it would burn, and you would think, I'm feeling better. Well, the Scriptures do that for us spiritually. This passage speaks to this problem. And this word of instruction speaks to this attitude. And this passage gives hope when you're hopeless. And these chapters, they seem to speak to us about forgiving and loving one another. And on and on and on. It's developed this word. How to take these verses, these themes, and apply them where they fit well. They speak to my life. It's the whole benefit of the Scriptures. We talked about prayer. We talked about worship. Not just in a building on Sunday. Last week, Pastor Jose did an excellent job of telling us the benefits and the value of developing an evangelistic heart. That we're not just takers, we're givers. We don't just absorb truth. We live truth, and we speak truth, and we encourage people to embrace the truth that she's done us, and it still changes us. So you come this morning, middle of the series, to serve me. I want to run through a number of references with you here. On the screen, working, computer's working, internet's working, something's working. I don't know any of it. We've got some verses. We'll do this quickly. I just want to give you a background of the frequency with which the Scriptures, God, is speaking about serving. Here's the first one. You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear Him, keep His commandments, obey His voice. You shall serve Him and hold fast to Him. This is coming out of Deuteronomy chapter 13. The context of Deuteronomy is the very word Deuteronomy is the second time. Duo, get it? So this is the second time that the law has been given. Moses gave the law the first time on top of Mount Sinai. God gives them the Ten Commandments. He gives the commandments. He goes down to the people, and the people says, "Forget that. We're having a big party time." They were worshiping other idols. They were being inappropriately, immorally. It's just, and this is months after they've crossed the Red Sea. They've seen plagues and how God just broke the back of the Egyptians who were oppressing them. So the Egyptians just leave. Would you just leave? In fact, we'll give you money as you leave. And as Israel walked out, the Egyptians are giving them animals and food to eat and money, and just please go. After those 10 plagues fell on the Egyptians. Then they get to the Red Sea, and miraculously opens, they walk across all of these experiences, and it's not long. It's party time, and who needs God now? Yeah. And so that's where this verse comes from. Don't forget, serve Him. He's the one that delivered you. Serve Him. He's the one that rescued you. Isn't a thing. Well, context here is people asking for a king. They've been living under what we would call democracy. God was their king, their president, their father, their leader. But they're saying, no, we want to be like all the other nations. We can't see God. As if you can't see His word on behalf of Him. And they're saying, we can't see God. And all the other nations, they have a king. And Samuel's saying, do you understand that this king that you're so desperate to get is going to tax your brains out? Right? He could have been a 20th century American. You understand what you're asking for? They persist, they persist. Finally, Samuel says, his closing remarks. This is his, okay, you guys want to go in that direction. You don't need me anymore. Here's what he's saying. Fear the Lord. Serve Him faithfully. And then he concludes this end of this long speech sermon. Don't forget or consider. Don't forget. Keep talking to yourself. Keep reminding yourself. Let it be in your contemplation what great things God has done for you. You just want to walk away from all that? You're going to forget all that? Don't do that. It's His warning. Psalm 100, verses 1 and 2. I learned Psalm 100. I think I was in the third and might have been the fourth grade in a public school. Every morning, the teacher would write a verse, usually a psalm or something out of Proverbs. Occasionally, it would be out of those two poetic books. Occasionally. And we would say it out loud and read it off the board together. And then she would ask one of her students to pray, and when she found out my dad was a pastor, I became like this target, and I'm always trying to look behind the kids making fun of me. And if she didn't call one of us, she would pray. And every morning we started our day in public school, and this was one of those verses. I read this around Thanksgiving. Make a joyful noise to the Lord and all the earth. Serve Him with gladness because of His mercy and grace and faithfulness to us. Serve Him. Isaiah chapter 6 might be my favorite one here. This is Isaiah. It's Isaiah chapter 6. And Isaiah is the prophet. He's the mouthpiece for God at this point. He's the national pastor. First priest in all the communities, but he's God's voice to the nation. And he's in the middle of doing his job. In fact, he's in the temple doing worship, and God speaks to him in this profound way. It's a long ordeal. You should read it in chapter 8. Chapter 6. And he's just stunned. And it's that moment where God is speaking, whether you hear it with your ear or it's in your soul. I've never heard God speak in my ear ever. I have friends who say they have. Who am I to call them liars? But I know what He says in my soul. Right. And this is that moment for Isaiah, and he's just dumbstruck. He can't. He's trembling. And he gets to a response. But here's the context, verse 6. One of the angels, seraphim, flew to me. Seraphim is plural. So one of the many that were there flew to me, and he in his hand this burning coal that was taken off the altar. So it's a live, hot coal. The angel picks it up and carries it, and he touched my lips, verse 7. He touched my mouth and said, behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away. Isn't that what we all want?
Yeah. Yeah.
That I can have a clear conscience before God and my family and pretty much everybody in my life. I'm tired of feeling guilty, empty, not fulfilled. I'm tired of my shame. Your guilt is taken away because your sin has been paid for. You're trying to reverse your guilt off good. God says, I'll bear your guilt. In the same way, this bowl is cleansing your mouth. Well, maybe Isaiah cursed a lot. Maybe he lied all the time. Maybe Isaiah was having a double life. He told everybody how good he was, but he knew he wasn't. Any of this sound familiar? Your guilt is taken away. Your sin has been paid for, atoned. Someone paid that for a numerical economic problem. I paid your debt. I served your jail time. Or Jesus came to earth and went to hell for us. He paid my time in hell. I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who's going to go preach the gospel? Who shall I send? Who will go for us? I just spontaneously said, all this, you've done this for me? Oh, I'll go. Here am I. Send me. Now the word service isn't in there. But if you don't think verse 8 is about service, you've missed the whole passage. You doing all this week? I'll go. You keep me out of hell for eternity? I'll give you my life. We're not going to negotiate till I get the weekend off. I owe you my life. One more, and then we'll finally get to our text. This is just preview. We're just waiting out. Galatians chapter 5. I love the word freedom here. Because usually when we think of service, oh, now what I got to do? You don't have that kind of subconscious emotion? Sign up for service. What's this? How much time they want from me now? I give $20 a week. Well, aren't you generous? You spend more than that in coffee. We've been called to freedom, brothers. Only don't use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh. The whole idea here is simply this. We're all carrying around some regret, some guilt, some shame, some oh, I hope people don't really know everything about me. And we project and we don't come right out live, but there are some things we just don't volunteer. If I don't talk about it, they'll ask about it, they might assume that it doesn't exist. But we know we're carrying that in us. We got some junk that's bothering us. And Jesus says, because I can pay that for you, if you'll come to me, I'll pay your debt. I'll cleanse your soul. We'll get to this in a moment. A few moments. I'll keep on cleansing you. I'll keep on cleansing you. Because I'm not calling you to now become Amish, and I'll give you very narrow boundaries, and if you get outside, I'm going to slap you. That's not Christianity at all. That is not Christianity. It's not a list of rules and do's and don'ts, and you've been a bad boy, now you got to pay. No, I told you to freedom. Let that again. Freedom is not anarchy. Freedom is not a lack of accountability. Freedom is, I'm taking you back to your original state of purity. Adam and Eve were born completely innocent. Well, born, created. They were created in perfect innocence and purity. They had never lied. They had never cheated. They had never done anything inappropriate. I love this verse. You think I love this verse for the wrong reason. I love this verse for a very biblical reason, but what you think is the wrong reason is a really wonderful reason for married people. The Bible says that they were naked and not ashamed. Not ashamed. They were not ashamed of anything. It's a concept we have a hard time understanding. All we've ever known is shame. That's our original position. That's our understanding. Freedom. Shame. No shame. Shame was from that word. You can't. So we'll do anything. Not shame was in that sense. There's nothing to make me feel guilty. That's what we've been called. That's what salvation in Christ does. It wipes us clean. And I'm not going to believe that's too good to be true. That is true. That's what we've been called. It's kind of free. But don't use your freedom for, oh, now you just do what I want, get clean again. No. You don't use an opportunity to, we use our freedom. Now I can do what God made me to do, to serve, to love, give. And Jesus didn't know you're to say, do you know who I am? Well, the classic example is the cross. Before the cross, look at the human illustration of John. 13. I should have emphasized the verse we just looked at in Galatians. That's this week's memory verse. So it's on the bottom of your bulletin, I believe. We don't use our freedom for self-indulgence. We use our freedom to in love serve one another. Here's the classic illustration made in the Gospel of John. Let me tell you something about the Gospel of John, and we'll probably get going. I'll use about a third of my time, and we're not even there yet. So I'll get you to the game by halftime. The Gospel of John, like the first three Gospels, is the story of Jesus, but so significantly different than the first three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. The whole story of the life of Jesus up to right before the crucifixion here in chapter 13. The first 12 chapters of the Gospel of John is what the whole book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke is. Matthew, Mark, and Luke tell the full story of Jesus. John condenses all of that in the first 12 chapters. And he spends chapter 13 to 20 telling about the next 3 days. So his details about the night before the crucifixion, chapter 13. The suffering, all that goes on that night, the beatings, he's up all night before Pilate, then the beatings start. The next day, he's before Pilate, beating again, the legal stuff back and forth, and then finally, at midday, he's crucified, And then the third day there's resurrection. Gospel of John spends 12 chapters surveying, not rapidly, but he skips a lot of stuff that Matthew, Mark, and Luke include. Because he's spending all of his focus, at least half, on these critical 3 days. Starting in chapter 13. So here we go. It's before the feast of the Passover. Jesus is Passover night. And so this is as old as the Exodus. Passover was established the night of the Exodus. Because the angels of death passed over them where the blood was applied to their doors. The blood was applied because they made a sacrifice. And the whole point is Jesus is our sacrifice. And the lamb is a picture that one day the ultimate lamb will come. We don't gather on the Lord's Day and kill the lamb because the lamb has come. So he's gathered with the apostles to observe the Old Testament because the New Testament is about to kick in tomorrow with his sacrifice. Jesus knew his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, having loved his own who were in the world. Now, not everyone in the world is his. But those are his, boy, does he love them. Now, certainly, he avails himself to all, but all are not coming. Those who come, oh my, he loves them to the end. I love that line, the end of verse 1. He loves them to the end. Just catch this principle. What's driving him is, okay, I'm going to do this, Dad, talking to the Father in heaven. I'm going to do this, and now can I just be done with these great people and come home? He's not doing this out of, I have to do this, so I'll do it. Having loved them, he loves them when it gets really hard to love them. And he's given them this classic picture of, this is what love looks like, boys. This is what love looks like. And Brandon referenced the Chosen, like some friends who just crazy love series, and others saying, that ain't right. Okay, all right. Go ahead. But I love when Jesus said, hey boys, referring to them as boys. Look at verse 2. During the supper, when the devil had already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Look, verse 1 said he loves him to the end. And he knows Judas is there in the mix. He knows Judas is there. He doesn't secretly say, hey, Judas, I know what you're doing. We're about to do something really special. Yeah. He doesn't do that. He doesn't say publicly, hey boys, your boy Judas, he's been stealing money the whole time. He's already made a deal to turn me in. By the time we get out of the Garden of Bay, they're going to show up and arrest me. He doesn't out him. He doesn't humiliate him. Judas is there in the mix. Can you love your enemies the way Jesus loved his? Can you pray for your enemies, or is it your tendency, pray for them, I'll talk about them? What would the First Baptist Church look like if we loved one another the way Jesus loves here? If we prayed for one another rather than talk about one another. Do you believe what their kids did? Like your kids are angels. Right. Like I'm wonderful. Like standard response when people are shocked. Pastor, I can't believe you did that. Oh, I got stories. That upset you? Let me tell you, amazing. We're in church because we've been forgiven.
That's right. That's right.
Could we stop acting like that's not the case?
Right.
Knowing that the Father had given all things to his hands, verse 3, and that he had come to God and was going back to God. Jesus knew who he was. He knew this calling on his life. He knew his deity. He knew his significance. He knew that he is the one, by the way, who spoke all things into existence. John chapter 1, verse 1, 2, and 3. He's the one that's going to pay for our sins. He's the one that takes the flesh for the Trinity. He knows his significance. He knows his power. He's not naive. He could have obliterated Judas. He does not. He came from God. In a few days, he went back to God. But here's what he does. He rises from supper. He lays aside his outer garments. So I guess there's what we would call a nightshirt, and then there's another kind of just to say a man's wearing a dress in our culture, but it's a robe. It's a pulled over your head. It doesn't have legs in my trousers. He takes that outer garment off. He's in a nightshirt, what we would call a nightshirt, and then he grabs some kind of a towel that's got to be very long, would look more like a scarf, we would say, and he ties it around his waist, but it's got this long piece of the towel extending out from the way he's tied it around his waist. He pours water into a basin, verse 5, and begins to wash the disciples' feet. Now here's what you need to know culturally. If you come to my house and I'm there by myself, come on in, sit down. I probably won't turn the TV off. I'll listen to you, but I'm checking the score. I'm listening, but I'm checking the score. And I might remember, hey, you want a soda, a glass of water? I may remember, Carm's there, it's a totally different shape. If you're going to be there 20 minutes, you're getting at least a serious snack. If you're there half an hour, you're getting meat. I wouldn't even think of that. I wouldn't even think of that. It's not because I'm ignorant and rude, although that theory is getting some legs. It's really not because of that, but I just don't think of that stuff. In the first century, because everyone's wearing open homemade shoes, and they're open, you're going to get dust on your feet. But the roads aren't paved, and it's not just people walking on those roads. All kinds of animals are walking on these roads. And you're going to pick up some dust and anything else that's on the road. So the most basic act of hospitality. Someone comes to your house. You wash their feet. And you might even give them another towel, rag, that's clean, and moisten it so you don't wipe the dust off your head, your face, and now you're comfortable. You might even offer some I was about to say flavor, don't eat it, but some ointment that's got some aroma to it. You could put some lotion on your face, your hands, and you would smell nice. Washing feet, and then getting all the dust, and being presentable is basic hospitality. And just like in our homes, also in the first century homes, there were levels of responsibility. Husband does this, the wife does this, the firstborn does this, and just, you probably will do washing. It's your first job. And then you get older. I was you got to do this stuff too. Jesus doesn't pick some insignificant kid. Hey, kid, come here and wash these feet. He doesn't make one of the apostles do it. Jesus does it. Jesus takes the worst job in the house. I don't know what you think the worst job in the house. Is it feeding the dog? Is it cleaning up the dog's pants? What is the worst job? Jesus took the worst job. He came to Simon Peter, verse 6. And Simon Peter says, you are going to wash my feet? Do you get his cultural sense of amazement? His spiritual sense of, Jesus, I don't know everything, but I'm convinced that you're God in the flesh. I have been convinced and I embrace your deity. And you're going to wash my feet? Okay, so. And Peter's sense of respect and what's reasonable and what's not, and love kicks in strongly. Jesus says, you're not going to understand this. You're not going to understand this. But afterward, verse 7. Later you will. As well. I don't know what I'm going to understand now or later. You ain't ever going to understand me. And that's just Peter, and I got a whole lot of Peter in me. This ain't right, Jesus. Not you. Not you. Let's find some other lesser person. And Jesus sending such a strong signal to us is the whole point of me coming to the earth and paying your sin debt is screaming to you. I'm going to do for you what you don't want to do for yourself, and you want someone lesser than you. I'm a grown man with a job. Get some kid here to wash my feet. We don't do that for ourselves. We find somebody else to do that. You know how it works in our culture. Let's get some uneducated person in here. Get some person of a different race in here. Get some blue-collar person in here. Get some handicapped person in here. And on and on and on those illustrations go. Jesus is not that person. I'm that person. And the big question with me in the room right now is asking myself, could I become that person? Is Jesus asking me to become that person? Having loved these people, he's going to love them right to the end, no matter what it takes. Tomorrow it takes hanging on a cross. But right now it takes this. So Jesus, all right, I'll do this. So when you pray, Lord, I want to be like you. Pray with your eyes wide open. We've been called to freedom. Galatians 5, verse 13. And freedom is not, I don't have to do it anymore. Freedom is, no, I want to do that now. I used to hate that stinking job. Now I want to do it. Because nothing is within you to demonstrate genuine love, not pretentious religion, but genuine love, sacrificial love to people. You ain't never going to wash my feet. Verse 8. Second line of verse 8. And Peter, if I don't wash your feet, I don't have anything to do with you. he expands on that just the next couple of phrases. Let's stop here. There's this inseparable connection between humble service and genuine love. So if we say we love one another, I can imagine, then we don't understand the connection between genuine love and humble service.
Right. That's right.
And that's the big point here. That's the takeaway. This is the essence of serving. Anyone can write a check. It may not be the same amount as his check, her check, but anyone can write a check. And I can come and do this or that. You want me to do that? Oh no, you go too far right to that. Jesus is saying, no, I'll take the worst job. But I want you to know that I'm not doing this because I have to, and I got stuck with it. I'm doing this because I love you. That's where we start, verse 1 and 2. Having loved them, you love them right to the end. And he's saying to Peter, when Peter gets indignant, and culturally, I understand. I got a whole Peter in me. I understand this thing. There ain't no way I'm going to let you wash my feet. You're God. God, in the person of Jesus, is saying, Peter, that's the point. I'm doing for you what you can't do for yourself.
Right.
You can't cleanse yourself.
Right.
And when that clicked, look what happens. When that clicked, last line of verse 8. I don't want you to have nothing to do with it. Well, that's verse 9. Just give me a bath. Just soak me. Okay, then if that's the point, if that's what you're saying, then let's go. My head, my hands, just pour the whole bucket over me.
Yeah.
And here comes some great theology and practical understanding of redemption and Christian living. Redemption is referred to as a birth. Birth and Christian life. Birth and life. Salvation, Christian living. He explains it, I think, perfectly in the little metaphor, verse 10. The one who's bathed does not need to wash, except his feet. So let's work on the assumption that they bathe once a day, every other day, once a week. They availability, I don't know any of those details. In our culture, probably once a day. Probably. If you didn't do anything strenuous, and your aroma ain't that bad, you might skip a day. But if you've been bathed, you don't need to wash except for your feet. Because in this culture, you have to walk into work, you walk into get something, you walk whenever you're walking, you come home, your feet don't get dirty. It's impossible not to. Your feet don't get dirty. You don't need to bathe if you've been bathed. But you need to wash the dirty part. Now, if you're born again, your spirit has been bathed. You get the language? But let's not kid ourselves and think that we don't pick up some sinful behavior, some sinful thoughts, some sinful actions along the way. And you need to get your mouth washed and your head washed where those thoughts come, and your hands washed. What did you do? Did you lose your temper and curse? Then let's clean that up. Did you gossip? Let's clean that up. What did you do? If you've been bathed, you don't need to be bathed. You just need to wash the dirty spot. Now maybe you're not even bathed. Maybe you've never been born again. Maybe your spirit has never been cleansed. Well, then that's the first problem. And that's the total picture. That's the total issue. But if you've been born again, and if you haven't, don't think, oh been born of the Spirit. And just going to church on Sunday is not the solution. I need to routinely wash my hands, my eyes, my mouth, my attitude, my selfishness, my laziness, my... Well, this is pretty long there, isn't it? The one who made doesn't need to wash his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you. See, just like here this morning, and I'm not saying this with cruelty, or we're going to search you out and burn you in the stake. Nothing like that at all. But there's, in every religious circle, there's always one or more, usually way more than one, who's not born again. And it's the case even with the 12 apostles. If you've made, you only need to wash. You're clean. But not every one of you. Judas is not clean. He's an apostle, but he ain't clean. He's a treasurer, that was part of the problem, but he ain't clean. Are you clean? I'm not talking about behavior. I'm talking about my sin has been washed away and I stand innocent, clean before God. But I still pick up some junk. There's not one of you here that doesn't get born again. You got some junk. Yeah. And we all know what it is. We know. It's arrogance, it's superiority, it's unwillingness, it's limitation. All right. It's hypocrisy, double life. It's whatever you're thinking. I will call your label right now. It's that. Verse 12. When he washed their feet, put on his outer garments. So he finished, went around the room, and he washed Judas' feet. And he said, well, one of you is not. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that it might be just now that Judas is beginning to think, is he talking about me? Because I don't think it's me. When he washed his feet, washed their feet, he put back on his outer garment, went back to his chair, wherever it was, his place. He said, you guys understand what just happened? You understand that all that I'm saying? Do you understand this little illustration, this picture? Do you understand what happened here? He doesn't wait for an answer, it's rhetorical. He goes on verse 13. You're right, I am. But if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, here it is. You ought to wash one another's feet. Yeah. And you know what you got to do when you wash someone's feet? You got to get down on your knees. Yeah. You take a position of a servant. Yeah, that's right. And the worst job in the house. Feed the dog. Clean out the stall where the donkeys sit. No one wants to do that job. Because donkeys drop stuff in the stall. You got to replace the hay all the time. It's raised on a farm. And I was the youngest, 6 years, almost 7, between my brother. He, after high school, he's off to the military, and it's just me. I got all my jobs, I got his job. Which was no, he never did his job. I hated milking the cow. I hated milking that cow. I hate that cow. I hate that cow. face, and it stunk. It stunk because I didn't want to clean it up. It just got worse. So God says, you learned, okay, so now I'm going to make you a pastor. You know what I do? I deal with the mess. It's a mess. Marriage is a mess. And the kids is a mess. It stinks. You know how I know that? Because my marriage has been a mess. My kids made a stink. You got to clean it up. But Judas is saying, I'm good. I'm good. My stink ain't near as bad as their stink. Judas thinks everything's fine. We wash one another's feet. Do you understand what I'm doing? You call me teacher, you call me Lord. I am. But if I've done this, why do you think you should be doing this?
Right. That's right.
Finally, 15. I've given you an example. I said finally. Well, that's, the first finally. I've given you an example. I want you to do just as I've done. I want you to live your life like this. I want you to serve not just amongst the 12. I want you to develop the way I've served other people. You've watched me serve other people for these 3.5 years. And now I'm giving you this classic illustration in the privacy of our little circle here. This is serious, boys, he would say to them. This is serious business. This is what we do. Because it's in this kind of service that people first see the gospel, and then they ask us to explain the gospel. Right. But if they don't see it in our serving, they'll never ask us to give an explanation. So we turn Christianity into nobody serves anybody. We raise money and hire a staff. They do everything. We don't have to witness. They do all the witnessing. I pay my money to hire the staff. The staff does all the serving. And when the church doesn't grow, we'll get better staff. That's the American way. But the American way is not the biblical way. The biblical way is empower people to do your work. Yeah. I want you to get your nose down in the dust and the dirt and the stank and wash some feet. Yeah. Because staff people can do a job. But we love people. We don't just do a job. We don't just A, B, C, repeat after me, hallelujah, you're going to heaven now. Jump to these truths and you'll be saved. It's not what we do. We love people. The way Jesus loves us, sacrificially. I don't have to die. It wouldn't do me any good to die for you. He already died the perfect death. But I can demonstrate his sacrificial love in cultural ways that are very similar to this. I'll help you go through, and I'll hold your hand through, and I'll even knock some doors open and get in your way and get in. I'll take some hits for you. I'll get in the stink with you. So you'll know this is how Jesus loves people. He doesn't back off, hold his hands, turn his shoulder, so I don't get in your mess. I don't want your mess touching me. Jesus gets in the mess with us. Doesn't dispatch staff. He comes to us. Washes our feet. That's serving. And he says it clearly. I've given you an example, verse 15. Do as I've done. what we do, boys. This is what we do, church. If you don't use blasphemy, you verse 17. You know, if you do things, you're blessed. I'm not trying to work with other preachers, TV preachers, people like Gloucester. But everyone's talking about the blessed life for a while now. It's a big phrase. Here, preachers and Christian people. Oh, I want the blessed life. I want a blessed life. Jesus says right here in verse 17, you get down in the mess with people in their mess, and you love them and walk through it with them. You don't talk about them. You don't slander them. You don't condemn them. You'll be blessed. You want the blessed life? Down one feet.
That's right.
The blessed life. They're trying to buy your way of pressure.
Yeah.
Get in the middle of it. Love. Serve.
Yeah.
Sacrifice. That's the heart of Christ. That's the life of Christ. Now again, he goes back to the big issue, verse 18. Not speaking of all of you. I know who I've chosen.
Wow.
He seems to be saying that if you can't wash feet, then you're not mine. Peter understood that. Oh, then bathe me. He said, Peter, you've been bathed. But we all need help in cleaning up our mess. I'll help you. You help somebody else. We help each other with our mess. Rather than come to church like, I got no mess. What are you talking about? I got no mess.
Wow.
I got no mess. You better go to someone else who needs help. I got no mess. Oh, all right. We'll show up when the cops call. When it really gets bad, you can't hide anymore. We'll show up. But you make this process a whole lot easier if you just own it and say, yeah, I got a little mess going and I need some help before it gets worse. Verse 18, the scripture will be fulfilled. He who ate my bread has lifted his heel against me. I'm telling you this now before it takes place. When it takes place, you'll believe. He knows everything. He knew who was going to betray him, and he still washed his feet.
Yeah.
This is when Jesus says, Serve them out. Love your enemies. Bless those that spitefully use you. Because we're washing feet. That's washing feet. Metaphorically, you get the point. This is the life Jesus lived. You want to be like Jesus. This is the life we've been called to. One last word, and then we'll really finish up. We tend to want to, okay, I hear what Pastor Dave's saying. Forget Pastor Dave. I hear what the Bible's saying. Okay. And we search in our mind, we do a little search, a little Google search in our head. I did one of the missions. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're doing it. I do this. And then I took my turn before we got this other unique situation that we're in now with cleaning the building. I take my turn when the vacuum. I show up for work day and I, do the weeds or what else we do. That's my washing feet. Okay, that's what you want to hold on to. Hold it up. So, okay, God. See, look, I did it. I'm good. You can do that. But do you really think that's the fullness of what this chapter is calling for? Washing feet is dealing with people. And people a whole lot more messy than running a vacuum, raking the leaves, painting the wall, fixing the door. jacked up stuff. And not one of us are free of that. We got some junk. And it's messy, and it's nasty, and it's embarrassing. And it's not easy to fix. You can't take a pill, call me in the morning. It's helping people break some generational habits and acknowledge, yeah, my reaction made it worse rather than better. And what I should have done instead of that was this. And help them see that. That's not easy, and it's messy, and it involves honesty, which we're reluctant because I mean, you think I'm amazing. Most people think you're amazing anyway. You kind of kidding yourself on that. How bad do you want that? Enough to admit out loud we ain't got it, and I need help getting it? Or you just keep covered up and hope no one knows? I'm not telling you to put your problems in the church bulletin. You need to look around and find someone who's been through some mess in their marriage and say, could you help us out? We saw what you guys went through and how you're just seeing these right now. How did you do that? We help each other wash up and get clean in areas where we're broken and stumble. We're arrogant and prideful. Just to cover it up. It seems if there's a subtle statement being made in large passage, and we worship Jesus Christ, it seems to be this: the people who won't embrace, like Peter ultimately did embrace what Jesus was doing, the people who won't embrace it are going to be people like Jesus. You want to do your really certainly behind it. I don't care for my life. You know exactly. You know exactly what Jesus was saying. And he embraced it. I want you to embrace this, both in receiving and in giving. This is how we disciple one another. This is how we encourage one another. This is how we serve one another. Getting into their life. I want to be communal. Please don't think I ask you to move in my house. I don't want you living in my house. But I want you in my life. And I will be in your life as much as you need me in your life. We'll help each other through the junk. We'll quit acting like we ain't got some junk. We'll encourage and strengthen and pray with one another. We'll cry with one another. And then when God comes, we'll rejoice with one another. I personally, truly I say, you receive one that I send, you receive me. You receive me, you receive the one who sent me. He's making this connection. The disciples, me, the Father, we're all in this together, boys. The Father sent me to you, and by what is in the chapter, the next day, after the resurrection, that evening, which would be 2 days from this night, Thursday night, what we call Thursday night. Friday night, Jesus, he's in the tomb, crucified. Saturday night, Sunday morning, resurrection. Sunday night, they're still in the upper room. He's there, resurrected. The resurrected Jesus is before them. You remember what he did? He breathed on them and said, the Father has sent me. I send you. That's exactly the last line of this movie. There's this line of intimacy and shared life. The Father gave everything, and I came here with the Father's will and the Father's words. I've given you everything the Father gave me. touch people, and somewhere in my life, somebody touched my mother and father, and he touched me. I'm trying to touch you. He said, this is how you live if you're born again. Judas was religious, but he missed all this. He missed all this, not to mention heaven, which is a kind of a big deal. Judas missed all this. I don't want you to miss any of this. I want you to embrace what God has for us. So it includes serving. Serving not drudgery. Not drudgery. He called it back in verse 17 a blessing. A blessing. Sometimes in my praying, in my contemplations, and in reviewing of this long life, a smile breaks across my face, and I think, that ended well. It was nasty and ugly, and it's gone. That ended well. Everyone impacting somebody else. I got to be a part of it. What a blessing. What a blessing. This is the life of serving. This is what Christ has called us to. Second blessing. Speak what is true.